Okay, hello there. Welcome everyone to the AppsEvents live stream, Get Certified, Google certification update. Looking forward to sharing what we have for you here tonight. My name is Allison Malika, and I have been with AppsEvents since 2012, providing professional development training for schools and teachers all over the world. What we have found by doing these boot camps to help people become certified is that very often they get lost along the way. They either attempt the exam or put it off, or after completing level 1, they need a nudge to get forward. So we're here to help you out today. And thank you for coming and spending your evening or afternoon with us, depending on where you are, either the East or West Coast. If you can see the slides here right now, it's good to know that there's one-stop shopping for all the links to the notes and resources. And that's the bit.ly/AE Live Notes. If you go to that link, you'll see that there are, I'll just open it up for you. Oh, sorry. If you go to that link, you'll see that there's a link back to what will be the recording, the slide deck that I'm working from, our Q&A, and as well as the Google Plus page and a feedback form at the bottom. So everything you need is here, as well as the agenda and what we're going to cover here today. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bookmarks out. I'll leave this like this so I can hop around in the beginning. Anytime throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please go ahead and add them to the goo.go link up at the top of the slides. I don't have anyone monitoring the YouTube chat today, so I won't be able to jump in on that conversation, but feel free to answer each other's questions, and we'll continue on as we go through the slides. So it brings us to our agenda for today. What we've found is that there's some key areas that people need assistance with, and what we have put together for tonight's hangout is an overview of the new training and certification center that Google has launched this past June. It kind of brought all the educational items together: training, certification, resources, communities, groups. So we'll take a look at that. We'll also cover some of the updates with certification. Exam account and registration can be a little bit wily for people for the first time around, and then also as they're going back to either recertify or take the exam at a later date. So we'll go through the steps of accessing your exam account, registering, reminders, where to find your account if you can't remember where it is. And then we'll touch base on some exam procedure and tips. And if you've attended the boot camps before, some of this material is covered, but it's usually covered very quickly toward the end. So this will be a good refresher for you. And then at the end, we have some upcoming opportunities and specials that are offered via AppsEvents. So you'll see the link to the live notes, AE Live Notes after bit.ly at the bottom of the screen. That might help you if you're following along. So without further ado, we'll get started on the certifications. And one of the things I'm often asked is, why did people become certified? And I think that goes back to what Google, the Google for Education team and the developers of the program, what the intention was and what was the backbone behind the training and certification. So this may be something you weren't aware of, but Google certifications are built on the SAMR model. So it's not perfect, but the ultimate goal for Google Level 1 and the Level 2 certification is for you ultimately to achieve redefinition when using technology tools in the classroom. For example, if Google Docs are just used to replace word processing, many opportunities to engage students and improve their learning experience is missed. And so the level 1 really focuses on substitution or targets substitution and augmentation. That's what we're striving for at the level 1 level. It's the basic skills a teacher needs to utilize Google tools in the classroom, such as, can you create a doc? Can you add it to Drive and organize it in Drive? Can you create basic slides and sheets and forms? Can you use the tools to replace a non-technological process to do that? So the goal of the training and the Google Educator certification for level 1 is to get teachers using the tools proficiently in the classroom. It doesn't get into a lot of the different learning models and ways that you can differentiate instruction or personalized learning. That more gets covered in the level 2. This is, let's get the basics down. Can you use these tools? Do you know how to navigate through the ecosystem with ease? And this certification demonstrates that competency. If you're not familiar with the SAMR model, that might have been a fast swipe, so I'll give you just an example. If for substitution, if you word process, if you replace writing, so you have a pen and paper, which it is technology, but if you take the writing a paper and then, we write the paper in Google Docs, that's substitution. It's technology acting as a direct substitute with no technological change. That's the S. For the augmentation, you might add some spell check in there, or maybe use the outlining tool to help teach 5-paragraph essay, or voice typing. So now technology is substituting the task, but there's functional improvement. So hopefully that helps clear up the this S and the A of the SAMR model and where we're going with it with level 1 focus. Now I'm just going to pause for a minute because you do have the go.goal up there at the top, and let's take a peek and see if you have any questions there. Sometimes people will say, hey, I can't see your screen or something, and I don't have anyone checking in on that right now, so I'm just going to pause. I don't see any questions there, but I do see people chatting here. Hi, Sherry and Stacy and LLC Andover from Phillips Academy in Andover. Oh, I know, that's Linda, right? Jennifer is here. Great. And Linda, I do have your an answer to some of your questions that I've seen come in earlier on the RSVP. The link will not let you get to the notes. The show notes? Okay. Let me take a peek at that. It looks like some people are in there. I have the show notes as bit.ly/AE live notes. Does that help you guys? Let me see if I can control C. Oh, Lorene, that's right. I'm sorry. There's the show notes. The link will let you get into the notes. Oh, will let you get into the notes. Okay, there you go. So I just repeated the answer to your question. So I'm going to continue on with the presentation now. And then I'll come back to the chat too at the end. So level 2, we were just talking about level 1. Now we're going to talk about the M and the R, the modification and the redefinition. We're talking about major task redesign and the creation of things that weren't possible prior to this. So I often use the analogy of the digital storytelling and creating video, like I'm making this live stream with YouTube, and teachers and students can do this too, and just turn a project on its head. Instead of writing a mission statement of life in an essay, incorporating images and text and music and having it be a music video is so powerful. And that's redefining the task completely. It couldn't be done before without technology. So what are we looking at with the level 2 certification? Level 2 exam assesses more of the advanced content which is redefinition and modification. Questions in level 2 might ask about personalized learning models or advanced features of tools, and that's also what you find in the level 2 training in the AppsEvents bootcamps. You won't get, this is how you create a form. You'll learn how to create an if this then that adventure using page breaks in a form and things like that. So an educator with this certification will have a deep understanding of how Google tools can really enhance students' learning. I often get asked about, are there any other apps or any other tools that we should probably be looking at? Well, as you go through either a face-to-face like bootcamp type training, or you go to the online training where I'll show you where Google's online courses are in case you don't have the access to those or know where they are. The things that come to mind are like, you know, incorporating Google Maps, Blogger, and YouTube as a creator instead of just a curator. So those are kind of like some of the extended things that you'll see. And then the other things you'll see is like an immersion into the tools that you were taught in the level 1. So do you want both level 1 and 2? I think so. And I really think that for the most part, level 1's the big hurdle. If you think of a bell curve, it's like you're really working up a sweat, you know, heading up that bell curve or hiking up that hill. And I just feel like level 2 is such a reward. So it's because you know this suite well, you know how to learn tech, and it really is much less stressful, and it's so rewarding. So I think they both have their advantages. I'm often asked, should I do level 1 and level 2? And I always answer yes. But can you just do level 2 or just do level 1? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, the show notes are view only, correct. Yeah. But you should be able to see them. It's just for an agenda and link. If you want to, you can make a copy of the notes. If you want to like take notes within the scope of the agenda, Sherry, by all means, please do that. All right, so the next piece of this is Teacher Center. That's where everything is located, and they updated the area where you can find the training and certification. This past June, they announced it at ISTE. So I'm going to jump over there and give you an overview before I proceed through the slides, but I also want to give you a minute. If you do want to go ahead and grab that URL, I'm going to show my bookmarks bar because I would recommend this. Couple of things. This is kind of a quick tip here, but let me hover over here. I use my bookmarks bar. I try to stay organized with it, but I tend to throw things indiscriminately on it for, you know, I'll think, oh, I don't want to forget about this, so I'll add it to my bookmarks. But I always tell people, like, they're going to want to revisit the Teacher Center. They might not remember what they're looking for. They get nervous about Googling for these types of things. So I say, just throw it down on your bookmarks bar. So you can just click and drag on the lock here and drag it down. For me, what's happened is I've done it so many times that I have several, you know, bookmarks, and they tend to run down the page. So I started creating these folders. So you can see I have a GCE, stands for Google Certified Educator, that I can drag from either my bookmarks bar or from up here and keep organize things in my folder. So if you wanted to do that, all you have to do is hover. Oh, wait, somebody show me a shortcut. I always make jokes that I am a long cutter, that I always go the long way. That's just how my brain works. So I would go over to the bookmarks manager and make a folder, but then as I'm teaching people how to do that, somebody says, right click and add a folder. And then you can add a folder right there. So I want it in here though, new folder. And then I'll call it, I'll just call it demo because I want to show it to you. And then let's see, save. And when I made it, it's down here, but I can drag it and move it up here. And then I can drag and drop things in it. So that's a little quick tip for you. It's helped me tremendously. It's just a great way to keep your stuff organized. So back to the training center. I digress. So we're on the teacher center, and there's training and certification, resources, and communities. So here's the training. The training that I'm referring to tonight is the fundamentals, which is for the level 1 exam, and the advanced training. You can start and finish this training online and take your educator level 1. So you can do everything online. People attend the boot camps and the face-to-face training because you and many others learn by doing and being with other people. And I see it, I do it, I hear it. So face-to-face combined with online can sometimes be the best option for people. But this would be the level 1, and you certainly can go through it. And then when you're finished, or when you're ready, you can go to the certification and find the matching certification. So here we have Educator Level 1, and then you would click on the link, and you can find access back to the training or the link to register for the Level 1 exam. And I also want to highlight that they have the practice questions here. So if you're thinking, oh, what kind of questions am I going to be asked when I'm on the exam, taking my exam? We'll talk about how many, the selected response, and what to expect from the scenarios. But you're basically given a test account, as you may already know, in the Google for Education portal, and provided with a login, and you'll take the exam completing a series of selected response questions as may be, as you see here. Check all that apply, choose 2 answers. So they tell you there's 2 correct answers here, check the 2 that apply. Or a drag and drop, match these up. When you're done with your selected response, you move on to performance-based scenarios. So here's an example of what you might see for a performance-based scenario. When you open your test, you may see a page that says, okay, here's a task. You're going to need to do the following. Your students have answered a few questions about an upcoming presidential election and submitted their results in a Google form. You want to review their opinions to prepare for an upcoming class. You're like, okay. And then these are the things you need to do. Step 1, access the form election options and view the results in a spreadsheet. This means you need to go to Google Drive. So you're going to open up Drive, and you're going to locate. So you literally go and open Drive and dig through Drive for that spreadsheet that they told you to find. Then you would, after finding it, sort the sheet based on the student's first name in ascending order. So that's the task. Then create a pie chart. So that's the task. So this is a sample question with a task-based scenario. You need to keep track of whether or not you've completed these items. There won't be, after you do it, this won't automatically check itself. You just need to know confident that you did it and move on. And we'll talk about some strategies for keeping track of that as you go along. So that's one thing you might want to review again when you get there. And then finally, this is the link to register for the level 1 exam. I also want to point out that the certification is now valid for 3 years, and I think it's Lorraine that asked this. Lorraine, yes, at one point, the certification window, it changed from 2 years to 3 years. If you are in the 2-year cycle, you'll need to recertify in that whenever it expires, if you want to maintain your current certification. So whatever it tells you, if it says 2 years, it's because you're in the 2-year window. But once you recertify, you'll be in the 3-year window. I know that was a question coming in. All right, so you need more review, more training, go to the Teacher Center and find the appropriate training. Want some practice questions? Go ahead and review those practice questions. Now that you know that they're there, or now that you've been referred back to them, you can use that as a way to build your confidence in getting prepped to take either the level 1 or 2 exam. So that's pretty much it for what I wanted to cover on the Teacher Center. I will make a small shout out to the resources and communities because they've added a ton more. So if you have time and want to peruse, there's lots of getting started with Classroom, getting started with forums, the Help Center, the GEG communities are available via these links. So it's really nice that they brought the whole education, all the resources together under kind of one umbrella and made it easier to find what you're looking for. So if you have time to check those out, please feel free to go ahead and do that. Yes, your certificate does tell you when you're due for certification. And when we're going to go over your exam account now, and it tells you in your exam account when you need to recertify. So let's talk about that. In your exam account, you can, this is how you know like where you're at. I have people email me, they forget, where do I go? I know I made an exam account. Here's how you know whether you have or you have not. I'm going to go to an example where the person has not. I'm going to grab this link. Let's go here. Now, if you click on this link, register for the level 1 exam. All right, here's an example of the have. Let me go to my real life. And I'm going to click on register for the level 1 exam. If I have already created a web assessor account, it's going to, or not, it's going to ask me to sync my account to Web Assessor because that's the vendor that provides the examinations or partners with Google. And when I click on that link and sync it with my account, I know I'm in the right place. So that's how you know if you've done it in the past and if you're using the account that you've registered for in the past. The URL that you're looking for is really webassessor.com. So if you've already created a Web Assessor account through Google, then you can go back to just webassessor.com and log in. However, if you haven't, you want to go through the certification page. So let me show you an example of what that looks like for somebody who's never set up an account. I'm going to go back, show you. So when it prompts them, when they click on, I want to take the exam, and you click to sync, this is where you create a test taker account. And the test taker account login should be an email address, and it should match whatever email address was synced. So if you synced it with your Gmail, use Gmail. If you synced it with your school account, use your school account. But make sure this email matches this email. And your passcode, if you're not used to using an upper, lower, and lowercase with a number, with a character in all of your passwords, or you don't have one, you're going to have to do that here. Write it down so you don't forget it. I can't stress that enough. I have so many people who don't write it down and they were unfamiliar with it and they forget it, and it just causes them more aggravation than it's worth. So write it down. As you go through, if you are setting up your account and you worked with AppsEvents, that's us. It's not in alphabetical order at this point, so you have to find AppsEvents on the list, which is always fun. I don't know why it's not in alphabetical order. And if you worked with me, my trainer ID is 00057. But most of you have been with me before, so you already know all that. Back to... Well, let me go back to this account because we were talking about when it expires. If you do get logged in properly to your exam account, your exams are listed down here when you took them and when they expire. So if they are expired, they'll let you know that you need to retake them, okay? Now you won't accidentally retake your exams because my exams are current, and it looks like, I don't know. Oh, it looks like they're 3 years, and my level 1 was taken in July of 2018, and so I go 3 years from them. So it doesn't have my expiration there; it just has the date I completed it. If I click on register for an exam here, and then I go to for educators, which is what you should do if you want to take the exam, you can see I can't take the exam because I'm currently certified. So that's really nice. You're not going to accidentally spend the money and take the test, because unless you're expired or in the recertification window, you're all set. You're not going to accidentally do that. Okay. Oh. So I'm not doing so bad. I think I'm working my way around here. Okay. They do send you an email and they do let you know that it's expiring. In fact, they send you several, that your window's coming up, that your window's getting close, and that your window's real darn close. So yes, they do let you know. And it's very helpful because it does make me get on the stick and get the recertification done. So that's where you click to take your level 1 exam. So remember, webassessor.com, if you've already set up your account. If you're brand new and you know you never have, go to the Teacher Center, click on exams, exam or certification, and click on take the exam, and it will prompt you to sign in to that account. Now, I think this is one where my account is set up, but I don't have any certifications with this account because I keep them on my other. So if I go to register for an exam here, I click on for educators, and here I can buy it now. Now, those of you who attend AppsEvents Bootcamps know that you get a voucher. So that's where you apply your voucher code. So if you still have yours from a previous bootcamp and you've been putting off taking the test, now you can get on the stick, put the voucher code in, hit submit. Please remember to check out. So many people put their voucher code in and see it take the $10 off, but then they don't check out and then they don't get registered. So just make sure that you check out whether you're paying or not paying. If you hit check out, if you don't have a voucher, if you're doing everything independently, all you need to do is pay with a Visa or MasterCard or American Express when you're ready to check out, and then you pay for it and the same process goes through. If you have access to this slide deck, which I hope you do because that's listed in the show notes here up at the top. It says show notes, but it's really meant to be the notes I create for you. I don't make it edit by all because I want to keep it pristine for everyone who needs it as a resource. But I don't have it protected, so you can make a copy and make your own notes here. There is a link. I could put it on the show notes, but it's in here. Help for filling out the form. So if you do need a visual, I did jot down some notes of what you might want to put in. So if you're just getting started and you're having trouble with your form, there is a link there. Once you get in there, you click on register for the exam. We went over that, and you can purchase your exam. And the last but not least present I have for you is, if all of that is still a mystery, or if you find yourself in need of more assistance, I made a video. This video is a little old, so instead of going edu with google.com, you go to Teacher Center with google.com. I write that here, but this video will walk you through all the steps, everything I just explained to you. So if you needed something soup to nuts, that's just an added bonus training material, resource, whatever. So now you can see why sometimes just getting ready to take the exam can be more of a challenge than actually being competent in the Google suite. So you're over the hump, you're registered. Now, what can you expect from that? You know how to register, you know how to get the ball rolling, but what can you expect and what are the next steps? And that's what I'm about to share with you here. And this is, I think, probably very, very helpful for those of you who are new to it. You are immediately going to get a confirmation that you registered. And I'm going to show you what those emails look like, so you can be on the lookout for them. That just will say you're registered, and we'll look at that more closely. Then within 48 hours, but usually within 30 minutes, but I don't want you to feel guaranteed that will happen, because it doesn't always happen like that. So expect that you're going to give them up to 48 hours before you're going to knock at their door and email the support desk and say, where is my test? But one thing I will say is make sure you've got your confirmation, because that's really where you're going to stem the 24 to 48 hours from. When you get that second email, you're going to get not only a link to the test center, which you're going to open in an incognito window, and I can't stress that enough. When they send you the link in your email, all you have to do is right click on the link and you open it in an incognito window. So you'll say open link incognito, and I'll show you where that is. All right. You're going to copy and paste your login and passcode. So they're going to give you a login and a password to access the test center as this pretend person who works at this pretend school, and you're going to take the real test as a pretend person. Here's the next few, and here's the emails. So email number 1 looks like this. It indicates that your performance-based exam is ready. Your registration is now being passed to Google to get created. So they're going to create your exam account, and they're letting you know that you're going to get another important email. They will remind you to add admin at my.edu.cert to your contacts right now so you won't miss the important email. But chances are if you got this email, you're fine. You're going to get the next one. Once you receive the email, the email that your exam is ready, you have 7 days to take the test. Not 7 days and 3 minutes. 7 days from that point. Timestamp to the minute. So don't wait till the last minute. Try to get it done within the next few days. Once you begin your exam, you have 3 hours to complete it. The exam system has your login credentials and instructions for starting the exam. You must have the latest version of Chrome and a working webcam. Yes, you have to have the latest version of Chrome. If you see a circle up here where your 3 dots are in the top right-hand corner of Chrome, and you click on it, it will say update. It will tell you to update. So if you don't see that warning, you've got the latest version of Chrome. And then the webcam will automatically prompt to come on when you start your test. So you don't have to worry about that, except if you don't have a webcam or you're using like a Chromebook where your admin has restricted it. So just make sure you have access to a computer that has a webcam when you go to take your exam. They don't reschedule your exams. So if you ask, they won't be able to reschedule it for you. So please make sure that you only register when you're ready to take the exam. They do give you some other information as well. The second email that you get, please read these emails because they're subject to change. Okay, like what I'm telling you today, these are screenshots of an email I might have gotten, 6 months ago. So it can change at any given point in time. So today is it's November 19th, 2018. So all of this information is valid as of today. As I always say, back in the day in Google terms is yesterday. So just know that this is all valid right now. And so don't skip over your emails and not read them because you came and watched this video. Read the emails. So here it does, recap that you need the latest version of Chrome, a working webcam, and a stable internet connection. To get started, open an incognito window. If I right-click in my email or right here, this is the EDU exams with google.com. If you right-click on it, it will prompt you, will give you the option to open it in an incognito window. How sweet is that? The only thing you'll have to do once that happens is be able to navigate back to here to copy and paste these in. Some people like to write them down so that they don't have to do that. It's up to you. So if you open it incognito, which pulls you away from your account, so you're not going to end up doing your performance tasks in Google Drive, you can start your test here. Now you have to have your credentials, but before you even click log in, I highly recommend, and they will remind you when you take your test, to right click and pin the tab. Anytime you hover over the top of a tab and you right click on it, you have the option to pin it. And what this does is it locks it here. You are not going to accidentally close out of your exam, which is possible. So if that happens, we'll talk about saving your password in a minute. You can get back into it, but I highly recommend you don't. You have 3 hours. You'll probably use all or most of that time. So don't waste time on things that don't have to happen. Pin your exam tab. Then you can go ahead and log in with your credentials. If you hover over your, I've got a mess here, but if you hover over your icon or your Chrome icon on a Chromebook at the bottom, I have my taskbar over here on the right, but I can move it down here. If you hover over wherever your Chrome is open, you can see all the windows that are open. And there are keys on the Chromebook as well. The top center key on the Chromebook at the top of the keyboard. If you put that down, it will show you all the windows. But I can toggle now back to here, and I can highlight. I can't because this is a screenshot, but I could highlight, my email, and then I can just hover down here and go back to my test and use it and paste it in. Okay. So just remember, pin your tab, and then in some way you need to log in with the credentials provided in the email. Okay. And that's probably the most important thing. Now, you are going to have to accept an NDA, which is like a non-disclosure agreement. Everything I'm sharing with you right now is public knowledge, but once you get in the test, you can't take screenshots or copy any questions down or anything. And they're going to outline the NDA details to you. So everything I'm sharing now is public knowledge, but once you get into your test, there are going to be things that are going to be very clear that you can't share. Oh, and the other thing too is make note of the technical error email. Like this one might not be current right now, but in the email, your exam is ready. There's an email address you can message if there's any errors with the exam. You can ask for help. Sometimes they can get back to you right away and resolve something if you have a glitch. And I'll give you some tips and tricks for troubleshooting as well, because sometimes you might have trouble with the exam and you don't need technical support to fix it. Vouchers do expire, so please message me if you're an AppsEvents attendee and you're in that situation. I always say anyone who attends an AppsEvents, plan on your voucher expiring in 3 months. So it might last 6 months, but the vouchers have an expiration cycle, and the way that they cycle through the testing center and buying it in bulk and then getting it out to our delegates, it's kind of like, it's very difficult to track expirations for individuals. So I always say, to be on the safe side, use it within 3 months and you should be fine. We talked about incognito, so you'll know how to do that and how to open it up. Getting access to your account, you're going to log in. There's a screenshot here that shows you sign in with your Google account where I copy and pasted my login. Then you accept your account just like you accept any new account from Google, and you log in. And then you're ready to start the exam. Now, again, once you go to start your exam, you're going to need to agree to the NDA. You're going to want to pin your tab, and you're going to need your webcam working. Now, you'll take a snapshot with your webcam, and then you'll leave it on the entire time that you take the exam. Okay, so testing procedures and tips. These are the things that might be helpful for you to be successful. Take a picture with your webcam, keep it on. Pin your exam center window. So make sure you pin the tab. Begin the exam. What I haven't mentioned, mark your questions for review at the end. Okay, when you're taking your exam, I have found it to be most helpful to focus on what I know and then worry about what I don't know at the end. And I think we give this advice to our students when they're taking those standardized tests, when they're allowed to go back. Mark what you don't know and move on. Because every question allows you to mark it as like, so at the end, if you see, if you saw 1 through 100 and you tagged, number 10 and number 20, they would be tagged, let's say red. So that's a good approach because you can be on a question, tag it, go to the next one. Oh, I know this, boom, 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 answer it or do the task. Get to the end and you'll get a big list of everything you were presented with. And then anything you marked, you can go back to and look at. And it could be a selected response or it can be a task, but at least maybe 90% of the stuff, but 10% would have just hung you up and you would have used valuable time, like stymied about it. So Do what you know and go back to do the things you're not confident about at the end. The other thing, I see this all the time. People are taking the test and it says, open drive and do this. Okay, do this. Now do this. Now do this. Okay, after you've made a form or created a sheet or done a task, you can safely close out of those tabs. So get rid of the tab. It's not a problem because anything you've created is going to be in Drive. You can always go back to it. Don't get so stressed out that you end up with 100 tabs open and you can't find things that you're working on. I've seen people waste a lot of time with tab management. So close what you're done with so you don't get tab overload. Expect 20 to 30 selected responses, and that could be in the form of the mix and match like you saw at the top, or check two that apply. And then you're going to have scenarios. Now, I can't guarantee 12, but just like generally, just think like 9 to 14 with 1 to 4 activities per scenario. If you've ever been in my boot camp, I kind of model that sort of thing where we have like a series of tasks. We might be mine's a little more methodical in terms of apps. We kind of like look at sheets and say, hey, let's do these 4 tasks. But in reality, you might be presented with a scenario, like a problem or an event or a project, and you need to do 2 or 3 things to make that project complete. So that's what you might tackle. So just consider, 1 to 4 per scenario. For some reason, sometimes people get a 401 error. So if you do, refresh, and you can refresh this way. There's with the little circle here. I'm not going to click it because I don't want to mess myself up. But if you click here up at the top, it should refresh. And if you get kicked out, if anything happens, you just get kicked out. You can log back in. You have 5 minutes to get back in. That's why you want to make sure you write your passcode down. I don't know if I have that mentioned anywhere, but they're going to prompt you to change your passcode. So make it something you know. And if not, write it down so that if you do have to log back into the exam, you can get back in. Trying to think if there's anything else. Not that I can think of right now. So, oh yes, there was one more thing. I often will see people are taking the test and they're on a scenario. And remember earlier in the broadcast, I said it doesn't check the boxes. Like if it doesn't say, oh, you did this, now do this. You just have to know you did it. Well, sometimes people are on a scenario or a task and they accidentally move forward to the next task. And so what I suggest, if you're on task 12 and you 12.12 task 12 and you click next and you're like, oh, I didn't do the last one, just write it down. If you don't want to go back and risk like having to go back, having to refresh, you just write down 12, let's say it was 4/4, you're on task 4/4, 12/4/4. And then make a note about what you needed to do, or just go and do task 12/4/4. So then when you get to the end, you can go back to that because you can return back to things even if you haven't tagged them, and you can complete that task. So I've had people panic because they went to the next page and then they didn't want to mess themselves up or get lost in what they did or didn't do. So I just said, write it down when you get to the end, go back and you can do that. That might help. When you're finished. So when you get done and you look at everything, you can hit submit and you'll see that it will begin validating. Now it will take a minute to do this, but you have the option of just closing out of the incognito window completely, because once it is complete, it will send you an email. The email will indicate whether you passed or did not pass, okay? So you can leave or stay here. If you stay, when it's done, it'll say we're done, log in, and you'll have to log into your account anyway. So I think it's just as good to just close out and wait for the email to arrive. But if you were nervous about that, just wait and you'll get a screen like this. It'll say you have now been logged out of your account, log in now. That's where you log in to see your results. So you can log in that way, or you can wait. If you log in that way, you get like little fireworks if you pass. So some people like that. But this is an example of the email you might get. And remember, these are all valid as of now. I mean, they may change the process completely, but you get the exam result that you passed. It tells you how long your certification is valid. And then you get your badge in your certificate. I believe they all show up at the same time. They may show up now under separate cover. So if you don't get your badge and certificate with this email, then there'll be a follow-up email. Your certificate will look something like this. When it's issued, just add 3 years to that. Oh, yeah, certification valid through. There's the date. I never saw that. If something goes wrong, refer to the email support link in your exam email. I don't see any question. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Or Angela. Well, thank you, Jennifer, anyway, for coming. Thank you for the compliment, Angela. Let's see. Laureen, just email me directly about the, I know you were with me for the level 2. Let's just talk directly about your expired voucher. We're going to talk about opportunities right now. It might make sense, Laureen, for you to put it in the form I'm about to share with you guys. So upcoming opportunities with AppsEvents are, number 1, do you need a retake? Now, if you weren't successful on your first attempt on the level 1, I hope nobody feels that they should absolutely pass the first time. You need an 80% or higher to pass the exams, and that's pretty steep, given the rigor of the exam itself. Even though the Google certification level 1 is assessing the S and the A and in the SAMR model, but just the core, can I use the tools? That's a huge leap for a lot of people, whether or not you're tech savvy or not. When you go to a whole new program or a whole new suite of tools, you have to learn how to navigate differently. If I had to jump into a new suite of tools that wasn't Google, it would take me time to get used to app extensions and the app launcher and finding my way around Drive and creating a form and knowing that the sheets and the sites are down here and how do I do this? And if I right click, that happens. I mean, there's a lot to it. So I really think you're hard on yourself if you think that you should pass the level 1 the first time. I was a Google certified trainer for several years, I think 3 years before the new certification program came out. And when I took this first level 1 exam, I was so challenged. I think that my chin was resting on my knees half the time. I was like, whoa. And I thought it was pretty rigorous. And I think most people can agree. And you'll probably use the full 3 hours the first time you take it because A, you're new to taking that particular exam, and B, you're going to be so cautious. And so I do see super whizzes that jump into it and they're done in an hour and they're like, piece of cake, see you later, out of here. But that's not me and that's not the norm. So if that's not you, don't feel bad. All right, so this opportunity is retake. If you did an AppsEvents Bootcamp level 1 or 2 and you took the exam, just get me a screenshot of your results. And I X'd out the person's name here, but you can see here's just a quick little screenshot. Now, if you're new, if you're having trouble with screenshots, one of my go-tos is this awesome, I think it's called Awesome Screenshot. And you go to the Chrome Web Store. Yeah, it's awesome screenshot. And I like it because I can just take a quick snapshot of just any area. So this was, I had my Gmail open, took a quick snapshot. You could immediately save it, download it, and upload it anywhere. So if you need to do that, do that. The bit.ly is here. So you click on that. Just going to make sure it doesn't make a liar out of me. First name, last name, email, what you need a voucher for, where did you attend your boot camp, add your file here, so just upload your file, and then hit submit, okay? So there's your retake, available to anyone who's attended AppsEvents Bootcamp. I just need to see the email result. I've been mentioning boot camp. If you're here and you haven't attended AppsEvents boot camps, it's hands-on activities. So earlier in the broadcast, I showed you Google's online training center. And what this does is it brings the online training center to life. It's competency-based. It's based on what are the competencies and what kind of hands-on activities can we provide for you, where you can practice with a highly qualified trainer that can support you and answer questions as you go along. So when you're done, you should be more prepared for the certification, but most people tell us that they're super fired up about, doing new things in the classroom. They feel they can engage their students more. So it's really nice to see them, people leave, the test, maybe I'll take the test, but they're so excited about what they know and what they can apply now. So that's what those AppsEvents boot camps are, and that's one of the reasons why we're offering this. You can check appsevents.com anytime to see where the AppsEvents boot camps are. We have a trend right now where a lot of schools are bringing trainers in to just do it for their school. So the public offerings have kind of waned down a little bit. So we've devised a special for anyone who's interested in getting certified but can't find a boot camp near them. If you're in New England, and if you know me, I live in Concord, New Hampshire. So I have a couple things real close to me. Level 1 is through a partner. We're sponsoring the New Hampshire Krista McCullough Conference. They are the New Hampshire version of ISTE. They have some great keynote speakers for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Monday, before the 3-day workshops, they have pre-event Monday pre-conferences. So we do have a boot camp there you can register for. They have a super good deal on it. So that's in Manchester, New Hampshire. And then if you're looking for level 2, I have been working with UNH for several years, and we offer the boot camps through the professional development program at UNH. So you can Google it. This one is going to be at Great Bay College in Portsmouth. That's UNH's satellite center where they host their PD. So that's level 2 on January 16th. Last but not least is, hey, are you in a different part of the world? Maybe you're in Hong Kong. I know I had some people interested in coming from Bangkok and Europe, and mainly in the US, because I promoted it heavily to the US. You can book a boot camp. So summer is crazy in the US for trainings, but winter not so much. And it's difficult because of travel season, because of the weather. But we have a special, so if any school or any group of people want to get together and have a level 1 or level 2 boot camp between February 1st and May 1st, anywhere in the US, and I think actually the Asia and the European AppsEvents is offering the same deal. It's only $125 per person, level 1 or 2. You need 15 people minimum. So if you can get 15 people pulled together for that, or if you want to host it at your school with 15 people, you can. Usually it's a lot more, but winter, this time period is a great time to get trained. And if you have any PD days coming up, or you have any school vacations, or we'll even do it on a Saturday, just email info@AppsEvents and let them know. I really appreciate everyone attending. I'm going to look at the questions. It looks like the Q&A, the slides Q&A, I'm going to open that up, but it looks like I'm going to go there first, and then we'll look at the Google Stream. We talked about whether or not you needed to recertify. So yes, if it says you need to recertify and it's only going to be a 2-year window, that's because you originally were taking it back then. So recertify, and then it will revert to the 3-year window. And Lorene and I are going to talk about the expirations. And on the YouTube channel, I do have a feedback form here. If you would like to give me some feedback on this event, I would love it. Sherry, thank you very much for the compliment. AppsEvents bootcamps are well worth the experience. I always have a great time, and I'm always really inspired by, you know, how people are feeling after they leave. Angela, thank you for coming. Have a good night. What is the biggest difference, if any, between level 1 and level 2 question type or focus? Okay, well, that's a good question. The format of the exam, okay, here's the beauty. The format of the exam stays the same. So if you've gotten through a level 1, just consider yourself like automatically 50% prepared for level 2, because you know how to register, you know what the exam likes, you know the rules, you've been through the experience. So shave that off as part of preparation. And the extra piece of it is that you already have the core skills. So a lot of level 2, you have to incorporate your knowledge of a Google form in order to level up and do branch logic with if this, then that. So if you have that foundation knowledge, it's to apply I want to say higher order thinking or critical thinking, but to get creative and take it to the next level, it's not as difficult because you already have the basics under your belt. You're familiar with the Google ecosystem, so you can navigate through and access sites and Drive and Docs easily. So a lot of that is really covered with level 1. I would say that for new apps, I would look at extra apps like Blogger, maybe Google Plus, Maps. I know that creation on YouTube versus just curating is an important piece. And that's all like sprinkled through the level 2 training. So if you're in the teacher center and you go through the training for level 2, you certainly can find those little nuances as you go through it. Level 2 advanced training focuses on promoting and modeling digital tools, personalized learning, definitely for sure. Using advanced features to optimize workflow. So in this area, they're looking at, they might look at add-ons and Chrome extensions here. Further use of spreadsheets to analyze and interpret student data, maybe instead of just making charts. I think they delve into pivot tables here. Organizing your class and making school materials more, sharing things more effectively would maybe incorporate classroom and calendaring sites at a higher level. Interactive curricula, I believe this addresses like hyperdocs and things like that. Teaching beyond the 4 walls of your classroom jumps into, I believe, Hangouts and Maps. As you get into the content with this particular unit, you'll see it says use Google Hangouts to connect to the world, use Maps to create virtual field trips. So you can go into these areas and they'll give you the expected time for the lesson and then some different resources and case studies and then apps to look at, okay? So you can see like virtual field trips are covered. Google Arts and Culture is introduced, which would not be introduced in level 1. There's a portion of here where Expeditions is giving your school the world with Google Expeditions is introduced here as well. So yeah, I would say to just look beyond the basics in level 2. All right. Okay, well, it's 7 o'clock, so I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. Google Hangouts are as a live stream through Google Plus is always an interesting challenge, especially when you're managing show notes and slide decks and everything on your own. But I really appreciate all of you coming tonight and sharing with me. Danny, do you want to say goodbye? Okay, you've been very good. He's ready to call it a night as well. All right, happy Thanksgiving to you all. Got my patriotic theme going on here and heading down to meet my son and celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanks again, and hope to see you in 2019.